Welcome to Fueling Your Legacy, hosted by Samuel Knickerbocker. Each week, we expose the faulty foundational mindsets of the past and rebuild a new, stronger foundation essential in creating your legacy. We've got a lot of work to do, so let's get started. Welcome to Fuel Your Legacy. Today we're going to be talking about one of the massive issues in business development, business growth, and creating a successful, specifically online marketing campaign. And that is, so many people, they just do the one step at a time thing rather than beginning with the end in mind and reverse engineering what their end goal is. So if you have found yourself in that situation where you're just doing, and never actually reverse engineering where you actually want to get to, then you might find yourself in this environment. And if that is the case, please let us know, because we want to help you, right? So that's what we're going to be talking about today, why reverse engineering is important and how to do it, and what is the end goal from a online marketing perspective. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Wednesday, we're going to be doing a book review on 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey. Fantastic book. If you guys have not read that book, I think that's honestly in one of my top 10 as far as books that have been life-changing, given me the habits, mindsets, and abilities to really behaviors, to really launch myself into whatever endeavor I'm doing. He is phenomenal about it. He's just one of the best at what he does. And so definitely check that out. There's actually a lot of different versions of the book, depending on your age group, and it explains things differently and different things. The most recent updated one is actually really fantastic, because it's going to talk about why the habits are more important than ever today, and how we can move forward in that. So that's going to be on Wednesday. And then on Friday, we are actually going to be taking care of, and well, let's be honest, I invited Lori onto our show because she is incredible. And she has been focused primarily on marketing, but she's just an entrepreneur of all types, and just really successful. So super excited to have her on and share her success in this specific area of how beginning with the end in mind has really transformed her life and transformed her business, and how she's been able to help other people accomplish some great things by doing the same. So stay tuned for that this whole week. It's just all about business growth and how to get it going. And yeah, that's really what it's about. So today we're just introducing the topic and talking about why reverse engineering, how to do that. So for me, I started my business and I was just going out, talking to people, sharing what I was doing, kind of haphazardly, joining different groups and anywhere I could to network and to help people see the value in what I was doing, building relationships. But it was just really shotgun approach. There was no specific target market. There was not an avatar. There was nobody that I really was specifically trying to reach. It was just, hey, everybody, this is what I'm doing. And I think there's always going to be a point of time where that can be beneficial. But in the long run, it is important to really identify who is it that I'm trying to market to. So for me, I have my specific avatar that I market to, and it's always funny when I meet with people and I find out, just like going down the list of my perfect avatar, and it's exactly who I speak to on a daily basis. So when I'm doing this podcast, I'm speaking to a certain person. I have a certain image of this individual in my mind that I'm sharing this information with. And without me ever identifying that person on air, right? I don't have to tell you what that individual looks like, what their cares are, what their interests are, their concerns, things like that. But because I know exactly what you're concerned about and exactly who I'm talking to, who I'm marketing to, then you will be listening to this and recognize, oh man, I actually do feel that way at times. I actually do feel overwhelmed. I actually do feel like my kids don't listen to me. I actually do feel like there's not enough hours in the day to get done what I need to get done. I actually do feel like I've lost my identity in service of others. I actually do feel like I'm overworked at work. I actually do feel these things. And on the same token, I'm super successful. I shouldn't complain. I feel a little guilty of complaining, but I just don't have the fulfillment. I don't have the legacy that I want. So I know exactly who you are, and that's who I'm speaking to when I'm giving these podcasts. But what's awesome is that as I'm meeting with people and as people reach out to me, it's like these identical people fit into this category. It's like a cookie cutter thing, because I started with the end in mind of where I wanted to and who I'm talking to. Then you naturally reach out to me without me having to call you out or say, hey, this person needs to contact Sam, you guys are going to naturally reach out to me if you fit in that category. Now, there's always going to be a level of people who don't fit squarely in that category, but they see the benefits of what I do for that demographic. And so then they reach out to me because they see the benefit of certain things that I do. But what's important is that I started with the end in mind. I started to say, okay, who do I want to actually be sitting in front of me? How much income do I want them to be making? Where do I want their time to be spent? What do I want their desires to be? What do I want their concerns to be? Where do I want them to be spending time on from a social media standpoint? Where do I want their family life to be? Where do I want their faith life to be? And I've identified all of these things in exactly who you are that I'm marketing to. And that way, when you recognize, oh, that's a me, then you naturally reach out to me. You naturally are calling me and saying, hey, Sam, I fit into that category. Please help me. And so because I started at the end in mind, it helps direct all of my other marketing practices. It helps me direct my branding. It helps me direct the colors that I use on my website. It helps me direct the typography. Everything that I'm doing is targeting a specific person from my business. And so starting with the end in mind helps a ton. I'm going to use an example from a relationship standpoint, because this sometimes we get super into the business side of things and we don't focus enough on the relationship or the faith side. So let's take faith first. When we are thinking about what we have faith in or who we have faith in or what we believe from a religious standpoint, and again, I view myself as a deeply religious person with faith, and I practice faith in my life in all areas of my life, not just the religion. But do you start with an end in mind? Like, in whatever belief system you have, do you have a belief of like what's happening after this life? And most religions at some point or another has defined, at least vaguely, what the afterlife is going to look like. And the reason for that is to draw contrast, to say, okay, if you want to end up in a certain place, then you're going to act a certain way. If you want to end up in a different place, then you're going to act accordingly with wherever you want to end up. And so the very act of that is constructed in beginning with the end in mind. It's beginning with, okay, what do I want my experience to be in the future? And that's how I'm going to act accordingly so that I can achieve that. It happens in business. Okay, well, we're going to build a business. What do I want my business to look like? Who do I want to be paying customers? Who do I want to have on my team? You start creating that mentally, and then it comes to pass. How about in the family? How many of you have sat down and said, okay, I want X amount of kids, and I want boys and girls, and I want all of these things, right? We all begin with an end in mind. How about relationships? You think when you were a teenage girl, teenage boy, you weren't watching movies thinking, man, that's the ideal. That's what I want. I want that type of woman, or I want that type of man. I want them to think like that. I want them to be kind. I want them to be loving. I want them to be service oriented. I want to be that person as well, right? So we begin with the end in mind of what we actually want, and then how we act is in accordance to what we believe that we want. Now, some people, they kind of want something, but they don't believe they're actually going to get it, and that's another issue. But it happens in our faith life, in our business life, in our family life. How about in fitness? Most people that I know that have gotten super shredded and just really fit, they did one of two things. They went and got a fitness coach that they actually wanted to look like. They're like, okay, I like the way that person looks. Can he train me how to look like him? Or they've got pictures up on their walls of people who have bigger muscles, bigger other body parts, right? Or smaller muscles, or smaller amounts of fat, whatever it is, right? So we have these images in our mind. That's where we're beginning with, even though we are not in and of ourselves the complete embodiment of our future vision. We are envisioning what we want, and we're beginning with the end in mind, right? If we just went through life thinking, well, I'm just going to see what happens today, and then whatever happens, happens, then you're not going to get anywhere. There's no progress, because you could make progress forward 10 steps and then backward 20 steps, right? You just have but who's to say it's not progress? You're moving. Okay, maybe you're somebody like me who, when they're driving on the freeway, right? If I'm driving on the freeway and I see that traffic starts to slow down, I immediately start thinking, okay, what if I got off the freeway? What are all the off-roads I could take, and would I still beat the freeway, right? Even if I don't beat the freeway, oftentimes I'm more likely to get off because I like movement. And so even though it might take me a few minutes longer, I like to be moving. I don't like to be stuck and sitting on the freeway. And so I'm somebody who's going to get off and go out of my way just to be moving rather than sit in one spot and get somewhere quicker, right? It sounds silly, but I like movement. I like action. I like doing things. And so because of that, I end up in some funny situations where I look back and I think, oh, that was not effective. I mean, this happened just the other day. My colleagues and I, we were on our way to a meeting up in Salt Lake, and I passed them on the freeway. They were behind me. I got off on a 9th South exit and drove up to the University of Utah that way. And I don't know which way they went. Doesn't really matter. All I know is that by the time I was pulling into the parking lot, they were already there, getting out of their car, packing, getting their backpacks and coats on. So the point of that is I thought I was going to do something quicker, or at least keep me moving, and they ended up getting there before me. And that happens all the time in our lives, and specifically when it comes to social media marketing or business marketing. You've got to start with the end in mind, because otherwise you're going to end up wasting a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of effort just doing any little thing, trying to move anywhere without going in the right direction. I see this happen a lot in my life over the last maybe 2 or 3 years, where I hadn't figured it out yet. I hadn't figured out that, like, okay, I need to be part of this organization, and this one, because those are going to best serve me. Everything outside of that, it's a heck no. I'm not doing it because it doesn't serve me right now. Now, does that mean it will never serve me? No. It just means right now, that's not where I need to be spending my time. And so you have to think about that and be very selective with how you're doing it. Now, the benefit to having a coach, like we're going to hear from on Friday, Lori Highby, is that she understands from a marketing standpoint how to reverse engineer something. Now, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. It doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter if it's your family life. It doesn't matter. Can you reverse engineer it? I'll give you another example from my family. Okay, so when I was growing up, my mom and dad, we had family meetings, and these family meetings, they would go for hours every Sunday. They were boring. But the one thing that was really good there's 2 things that I learned from a general rule. One, we read our family mission statement every Sunday, which means we began every week with the end of how we wanted to behave, the morals, the values, the ethics that we wanted to embody. We read that every week, so we knew exactly who we wanted to become. Number 1. Number 2, every week we had an intense, detailed planning session with our family, so everybody knew where everybody was going to be. Everybody had complete visual of everybody else's schedule, and the clarity to actually move forward and progress was essential. Okay, so those are 2 huge things that I learned, and now I'm implementing that into my own life. So I have a son. He's about 2 years old, maybe a month over 2, and he's just starting to talk. And I'm starting to realize, man, the words I say, he can repeat. Even if he doesn't understand them yet, he's starting to repeat and parrot whatever I say. So now, because I'm recognizing that, I'm being way, way, way more self-conscious about what I say in front of him. I'm also being more intentional about the affirmations that I use for myself and for my wife, how I compliment my wife, how often I compliment my wife, how I compliment him, how often I compliment him, right? So I'm being a lot more intentional with that, because now I want to start constructing his mind. I'm beginning with who I want him to be as a 25-year-old, a 60-year-old, a 100-year-old, right? I'm thinking of that person and saying, what can I do today to create that outcome in my family? From a financial standpoint, it's the same thing. I was going to neuropsychology school. I was going to go be a neuropsychologist, and I loved that stuff, man. That stuff, like, it still is some of the most exciting research. Reading a research paper of neuropsychology is like going on a first date for me. It is exciting, butterflies, just like I love consuming this information. Not super helpful for me in my current field, but it's super interesting, and I love it. But here's the deal. I had a college professor who said, you need to go interview your future. You need to go interview somebody who's 30, 40 years ahead of where you think you want to be. I was like, oh, that's not a bad idea, actually. Went and interviewed it, found out very quickly that if all of the work I was doing right now was going to end up there, I didn't want to be part of it, right? Not because I didn't like the research, but because I did not want to be where those people were. And so go and interview your future, whether that's in a fitness, relationship, business, or faith. Where are you? What's the end goal? And are you conscious of where you want to be? Are you focused on where you want to be? Because once you get locked in exactly where you want to be in your future, then you're going to be able to implement, and this is what we're going to talk about on Wednesday, the 7 habits of highly effective people. We're going to be able to implement those 7 habits onto our vision, and we're going to be able to create something magnificent just that it's a legacy, really. We're going to be able to create a legacy that's going to last multi-generationally with an immense amount of meaning. So with that being said, we're super excited for the rest of this week to play out. I am, at least. I know these people that I'm going to be talking about, and I'm just grateful for their efforts and all that they've done and achieved in life thus far, because now we all get to benefit from that information. I'm excited to be bringing them to you. Again, take a screenshot of this, post it in social media, tag me. That'd be awesome. And then also on June 7th and 8th, I'm going to be speaking at it's called the Level Up Mastermind workshop. And it's a real estate workshop. So if you're interested in real estate, learning how to get in the game, you want an awesome, stellar coach, it's not me by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm going to be honored to speak there. But Tiffany Barnes, we did a few episodes with her a few weeks back. If you want to really understand her story and how this event is going to transform your life, go check out those episodes and then get registered. You can do that at my website, samknickerbocker.com. And also on that website, you can get access to my free ebook. You can get access to my webinar about some of the core principles and money habits that we need to overcome initially. You can also schedule a time if you'd like to sit down and schedule a 30-minute strategy session call with me. Feel free to do that. I'd love to reach out to you and see how you can benefit from this. If you feel that you have a story, a habit, a mindset, or behavior that has helped you be successful, that's essential in creating a meaningful legacy, please reach out to me. I'd love to have you be a guest on the podcast here. And you can also do that from my website there on the Fuel Your Legacy tab of samknickerbocker.com. So have a wonderful day, and we'll catch you next time on Fuel Your Legacy. Thanks for joining us today. If what you heard resonated with you, please like, comment, and share on social media. Tag me so I can give you a shout out on the next episode. And thanks to all those who have left a review. It helps spread the message of what it really takes to build a legacy that lasts. Catch you next time on Fueling Your Legacy.